Sometimes you write a letter to process your feelings, and your boyfriend decides to destroy multiple lives over it. Anyway, make sure to hit that like button if you enjoy my content, and don't forget to subscribe if you're new here. I'm Allison, I'm 29, and 3 weeks ago, I thought I knew who Eric was. Turns out I had no idea how vindictive and cruel someone could be when their ego gets bruised. It started when I was doing laundry at our apartment. We'd been living together for 18 months after 3 years of dating. I pulled this folded piece of paper from Eric's jacket pocket, and my stomach dropped when I realized it wasn't addressed to him. It was one of my letters to Cullen, my coworker at the marketing firm. Look, I know how this sounds, but it wasn't what Eric made it out to be. I'd been writing these letters to process my feelings because Eric had become so emotionally distant and critical lately. He'd nitpick everything I did, question my every move, and had this annoying habit of making me feel guilty for having any social life outside our relationship. Cullen was someone who actually listened when I talked about work stress or family drama. When I mentioned feeling disconnected from Eric, Cullen would hold my hand in the break room and tell me I deserved better. The letter Eric found was pretty raw, I'll admit that. I wrote about how Cullen understood me in ways Eric didn't, how alive I felt. When we talked, how I sometimes wondered what it would be like if Cullen wasn't married. But it was just venting, just me working through complicated emotions on paper. I never even planned to give it to him. That evening, Eric came home, acting all casual, asking about my day. Then he dropped the bomb. Hey, who's Cullen again from your work? I kept my voice light. Just a colleague in digital strategy. Why? You mention him a lot. Just curious. I laughed it off. Babe, are you jealous? He's just a friend, a work friend. That's when Eric pulled out my letter and placed it on the table like some kind of smoking gun. I felt my face flush hot, then cold. He'd gone through my things. You went through my jacket. I was doing laundry. This fell out. I scrambled for an explanation. It's not what it looks like. We were doing this creative writing exercise for a campaign about authentic emotions. Eric's expression turned ugly. Really, a creative writing exercise about holding hands in the break room. He was getting that stubborn look he gets when he's decided to be unreasonable about something. Oh my God, you're being ridiculous. It's nothing. Cullen is married. He has kids. We're friends. We talk sometimes. That's it. This letter suggests otherwise. I can't believe you're making this into something. It was just me processing feelings. You're being paranoid and controlling. I'm allowed to have friends. Friends don't write letters about feeling alive when they touch. I rolled my eyes. You're blowing this way out of proportion. It meant nothing. You're seriously going to freak out over some words on paper? Grow up. I stared at him, frustrated by his complete inability to see reason. The gaslighting was incredible. He was acting like I'd committed some unforgivable crime when all I'd done was have feelings. Then Eric said something that stopped me cold. You know what? You're right. I am being ridiculous. For a second, I felt relief. Oh, good. See, I told you it was nothing. Absolutely ridiculous to stay in this relationship. Pack your stuff. I spent that night screaming at him for an hour about how he was overreacting. But he just went to bed and left me on the couch. The next morning, while I was in the shower, Eric did something I never thought he was capable of. He made a copy of my private letter. He looked up Cullen's home address online and mailed it to Sophia, Cullen's wife, along with a note saying he thought she should know what her husband and his girlfriend were up to at work. I didn't find out until 2 days later when I got a text from an unknown number. This is Cullen. We need to talk. No, we don't. You sent something to my wife. Do you understand what you've done? I forwarded evidence of an emotional affair. Your wife deserved to know. It wasn't an affair. Your letter was one-sided. I never encouraged it. Then you should have reported it to HR instead of holding hands in break rooms. We need to fix this. Sophia kicked me out. She's talking about divorce. You've destroyed my family over a misunderstanding. Your choices destroyed your family. Not my problem. I blocked him, but the damage was already done. Eric had taken my private thoughts and weaponized them against innocent people. Sophia didn't just kick Cullen out. She went completely nuclear. According to Avery, who works at our company, Sophia showed up in the office lobby during lunch hour with printouts of my letter demanding to speak to HR while everyone watched. Security had to escort her out, but the whole office saw and heard everything. HR launched a formal investigation into inappropriate workplace relationships. When I confronted Eric at his gym, I was livid. You've destroyed my career. Everyone's talking about it. They're calling me a homewrecker. He didn't even look up from his workout. Sounds like a personal problem. I could lose my job. Cullen already got transferred to another department. Should have thought about that before writing love letters to married coworkers. It wasn't a love letter. Other people were staring, so I grabbed his stuff and headed for the exit. He followed me. "You're going to fix this. Call my boss. Tell them it was a misunderstanding." "No." That's when I grabbed his arm, my nails digging in. "You don't get to destroy my life and walk away." He yanked free and looked me dead in the eyes. "Watch me." But Eric's vindictive campaign was just getting started. He started showing up at my workplace, sitting in the lobby, telling the receptionist he was my boyfriend and needed to see me urgently. My boss had to get involved and eventually banned him from the premises. Then came his social media campaign. Eric started posting about toxic girlfriends who can't handle having boundaries with male friends. He tagged mutual friends trying to get them on his side, posted old photos of us with captions about "thought she was different," and "when someone shows you their true controlling nature, believe them." Most people who knew us both saw through it, but some of his friends bought into his victim act. I started getting messages like, "Heard what you did to Eric, real manipulative move. He's devastated. Hope you're happy destroying someone's trust over your wandering eye." I screenshotted everything but didn't respond. Why dignify his lies with a response? Then Eric really showed his true colors. I got a formal email from him with the subject line, "Demand for accountability." "Allison, your vindictive actions have caused me severe emotional distress. I am prepared to take legal action unless you agree to pay me $5,000 for emotional damages. 2. Write a formal letter to your HR department taking full responsibility and stating you pursued a married coworker. 3. Contact Sophia and admit you manipulated the situation. 4. Compensate me for relationship counseling costs. You have 72 hours to respond, or I will pursue all available legal remedies." I actually laughed out loud. The audacity was incredible. I forwarded it straight to my lawyer friend from college, who said, "This is hilarious. He has no case. Keep this, though. Might be useful if he keeps escalating." I didn't respond to his ridiculous demands. Instead, I did what I should have done from the beginning. I started fighting back. My mom called Eric directly. "Sweetheart, what's going on? Allison is devastated. She says you've been spreading lies about her." I shared a letter she wrote in her own handwriting. No lies needed. She told me about that letter. It was nothing, just venting. "Haven't you ever written something you didn't mean, Richie? Not love letters to married coworkers. You're being very cruel. She loves you. She made a small mistake." Writing the letter was a choice. Lying about it was a choice. Now she's facing consequences. She could lose her job. Is that really what you want? I want her to leave me alone. Everything else is her problem. "I'm very disappointed in you, Eric. I thought you were better than this petty revenge." But here's where Eric's vindictive nature really showed. My best friend Elena reached out to warn me about something truly twisted. "Hey, I know we're not close with your ex stuff, but heads up. Eric's planning something. He's been talking about making you understand what you've done. And he mentioned your ex before him, the one who cheated. He found her on Facebook." My heart started racing. My ex, Jessica, was a nightmare who cheated on me repeatedly, then tried to claim I was abusive when I broke up with her. It took months to clear my name from her lies. What's he planning? He reached out to Jessica. They've been talking. Something about comparing notes and exposing who you really are. I think it's messed up, which is why I'm warning you. 2 days later, it started. A Facebook post from Jessica, who I hadn't heard from in 4 years. "Been talking to someone who dated my ex after me. Turns out his pattern of controlling, jealous behavior wasn't limited to me. He's now destroying her career over having a male friend. Classic narcissistic abuse. Women need to warn each other about men like this." She tagged me with my full name. Comments immediately flooded in from her friends about how awful men are, how I should be exposed, how they weren't surprised. Eric had weaponized my abusive ex against me. The woman who had made my life hell, who had lied about me to anyone who'd listen. And now they were comparing notes, painting me as some kind of predator. That was it. Gloves off? I compiled everything. The original letter, all Eric's texts, admitting he'd mailed it to Sophia, his threats at my apartment, his harassment at my workplace, the demand for compensation email screenshots of his social media, lies the Facebook messages between him and Jessica. I took it all to a real lawyer and filed for a restraining order based on harassment, stalking, and coordinated defamation. I also sent a formal cease and desist to both Eric and Jessica. Any further public statements about me would result in a defamation suit. Then I sent the entire package to Eric's HR department. I explained that their employee was harassing me, following the end of our relationship, that I'd filed for a restraining order, and I wanted them aware in case he tried to use company resources to continue this behavior. The restraining order was granted temporarily. Eric was served at work in front of everyone. According to Avery, he lost it completely. Full meltdown in the middle of the office, screaming about how I was ruining his life over nothing. Security had to escort him out while he was still ranting. He was suspended pending investigation. Between the Cullen situation and now proof he was harassing an ex using work time and resources, HR had seen enough. The restraining order hearing was something else. Eric showed up with a lawyer that probably cost him a fortune he didn't have. He tried to paint me as vindictive, claiming I'd orchestrated a campaign to destroy his life over a harmless crush. My lawyer calmly presented the timeline. I wrote the letter first. Eric reacted by mailing it to Sophia without my knowledge. The harassment evidence was overwhelming. Texts, emails, showing up at my home, and worked the extortion attempt. The coordinated defamation with Jessica's security footage of him grabbing me at the gym. Eric's lawyer tried to argue that my letter to Cullen was private creative expression, and he had no right to share it. The judge wasn't buying it. Miss Williams, did you write this letter? Yes. Did you bring it to your workplace? Yes, but I never... Did Mr. Thompson threaten you before finding this letter? Silence. No. Did you attempt to contact him after he asked you not to? Quiet. Yes. The restraining order was granted for 2 years. No contact, no third-party contact. Stay 100 yards away from my homework and gym. But the real consequences were just beginning. Cullen's divorce went through, and it was ugly. Sophia took him to the cleaners. Turns out my letter wasn't the only evidence. She'd been suspicious for months, hired a private investigator, found texts, and lunch meetings I didn't even know about. My letter was just the confirmation she needed. Cullen lost his family, half his assets, and his reputation. He tried reaching out once more through LinkedIn, saying I'd destroyed 2 lives over a misunderstanding. I reported the contact as a violation of the restraining order. He got a warning from the court. Jessica folded instantly when she got the cease and desist, deleted her posts, and went radio silent. Guess she didn't want to risk actual legal consequences for her lies. As for me, I was fired. Not for the Cullen situation directly, but for using company property to harass Eric, creating a hostile work environment, and the restraining order making it legally complicated to keep me. I had to move back in with my parents with no job, no apartment, and no reference from my last employer. 8 months later, I'm still trying to rebuild my life. I'm working retail, now living at home, and apparently Eric has moved on completely. I heard through mutual friends that he's dating someone new, probably telling her the same lies about me being crazy and obsessive. The truth is, if Eric had just handled this like an adult, when he found the letter, we might have worked through it. Couples therapy, rebuilding trust, whatever. But he chose to lie, attack, and escalate to insane levels when faced with my completely normal human emotions. Look, maybe I shouldn't have written that letter. Maybe I should have been more careful about my friendship with Cullen. But Eric's reaction was completely disproportionate. He destroyed multiple lives because he couldn't handle the fact that I had feelings for someone else. I didn't ruin anyone's life. I just refused to let Eric control mine. Sometimes when you stand your ground and protect yourself legally, other people face the natural consequences of their actions. Eric thought I'd cave to protect him from those consequences. He thought wrong.